In the records I am compiling, not from my own sight, but from the interactions of celestial beings in their struggles against the angels mentioned in this chapter, as they fought over the reasons and deeds that led to their banishment from the presence of God. These pages I write in testament as a witness to the Almighty and Creator of the heavens and the earth, who is known by many names, from the Alpha to the Omega of all things. After Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, God commanded Lucifer to go forth and assist in the creation of the second tree, the tree of knowledge between good and evil. This tree was intended to grant humanity a deeper understanding of their emotions, thus furthering their insight into their own actions. God spoke to Lucifer, saying, "Lucifer, go forth and aid in the development of the tree of good and evil. As the angel of sin, you possess unparalleled insight into the ways of sin, and it is for this purpose that I have created you." And so Lucifer joined the angels in the task of creating the tree of knowledge, whose fruit is sweet upon the lips but bitter in the stomach, symbolizing the general nature of good and evil, experienced throughout life. While righteousness brings sweetness to the righteous, the initial sweetness of evil turns bitter as its consequences take their toll, becoming difficult to bear. Lucifer then realized why God was deeply saddened. Adam and Eve had consumed the forbidden fruit, thus disrupting the divine plan for their development. And so Lucifer sat down to assist in the development of the tree of knowledge, sharing his insights into evil and sin. Okay, now let us try and tap into the core of your purpose and destiny, Lucifer. As the angel of sin and evil, you have an insight into the core reasons and drive behind sin and able to discern the aspects of evil like no one else. So let us begin by listing the 7 deadly sins one by one. Okay, I'll try. The sins of man that are condemnable to hell, known as the 7 deadly sins are 1. Envy 2, greed 3, gluttony 4, plus 5, pride 6, sloth 7. Hate the principalities of sin are 26. The choices of emotional desires, habits, and beliefs that lead to sin and the desolation of life. They are 1. Betrayal 2, blasphemy 3, conviction 4, vanity 5, selfishness 6, obsession 7, vengeance 8, defiance 9, ignorance 10, stubbornness 11, spite 12, covetousness 13, sacrilege 14, treachery 15, violence 16, lying 17, sodomy 18, denial 19, despair 20, strife 21, fury 22, heresy 23, adultery 24, idolatry 25, iniquity 26. Shamefulness. These things will not condemn a person to hell, but emotional desires and temptations that can lead a person to develop bad habits and cause their life to become consumed with other bad beliefs or habits, to become consumed with sin, which means that they have become so used to justifying the wrong they do to a point where they no longer see the wrong they do or just don't care. This path leads to inevitably death, and their life will become a life of suffering and torment. All good joys and happiness will be replaced with shallow desires and regrets. Then, when they die, they will have to answer for their life's mistakes and evils. Where they refuse to see the error of their ways, they shall be sent to the place of punishment, where they have no choice but to acknowledge their errors in the most extreme ways imaginable until they truly learn from their mistakes and seek another path, not out of the need to overcome their fate, but to truly seek a way to change. Meanwhile, Adam and Eve found shelter on the outskirts of Eden, within a small cavern. God created 9 angels to watch over them, imparting wisdom to Adam on tilling the soil, cultivating fruits, hunting, preserving meat, and making clothing. These 9 angels were Michael, Gabriel, Azazel, Samael, Raphael, Uriel, Emmanuel, Berkiel, and Jeriel. They also aided Eve in delivering their sons, Abel and Cain. As the boys grew, the angels protected them and imparted wisdom and counsel. Abel proved to be a respectful and obedient son, fulfilling his father's requests. However, Cain grew arrogant and prideful, often seeking shortcuts to overcome obstacles. They dwelled in a place called Edom, tilling the fields and bringing the fruits of their labor home to share with their family. Cain's jealousy towards the praise Adam bestowed upon Abel for his diligent work began to consume him. Abel's unwavering obedience contrasted with Cain's tendency to make excuses for his mistakes. Cain would blame the weather or the fragility of his tools, and sometimes even lie, shifting the blame onto innocent creatures. One day, an angel advised Cain not to climb a low-hanging tree, suggesting that it would be wiser to climb a rock instead. The angel remarked, "Sometimes a stone cast is worth two in the bush," mockingly alluding to Cain's lack of discernment. Cain lied upon returning home, claiming that he had no berries due to a bear chasing him without reason. Then came the fateful day when Cain took the life of Abel. Some speculate that Satan was involved, either possessing or tempting Cain into a fit of rage. However, this would not have been possible, as Satan was already in the form of a wandering serpent, and Lucifer was engaged in the development of the tree of good and evil alongside the angels. Nevertheless, Satan was accused of the heinous act, and later, Lucifer became associated with Satan, unjustly bearing responsibility for the deed. The story of Cain's jealousy towards Abel stemmed from the favoritism God showed towards Abel's offerings, which were the finest fruits of his labor, while Cain offered only meager offerings. Additionally, Adam's encouragement of Abel further fueled Cain's anger. Abel invested more effort than necessary into his work, demonstrating obedience and reliability, while Cain constantly lied and made excuses. Eventually, Cain succumbed to his jealous rage and struck Abel's head with a hand trowel. Filled with anxiety, Cain disposed of Abel's lifeless body by rolling it into the thorny bushes that once adorned the Garden of Eden. Instantly, God appeared before Cain and questioned him about his brother's whereabouts. Cain lied, denying any knowledge of Abel's fate. God, seeing through his deceit, proclaimed, "Do you think that I am a fool? I know that you have killed Abel and concealed his body in the bushes." God cursed Cain with immortality, denying him the peace of death and a resting place. He was condemned to wander the surface of the earth for 70 generations, equivalent to 2,200 years. None were to show him kindness or pity, with only provision of a meal and a bed for a single night before promptly sending him away the next morning. God marked Cain so that all would recognize and know him for his wicked deed and the curse he bore. 7 angels were dispatched to ensure that this curse weighed heavily upon Cain and brought omens upon those who defied God's command. After Cain's curse from God for killing his brother Abel ended, as he was condemned to wander the earth for 70 generations, Cain took a wife and began to build himself a house. However, before he could complete the construction, the house collapsed and fell upon him, resulting in his death. It is worth mentioning that Cain's wife is not mentioned by name in the biblical narrative. Some traditions suggest that Cain married his sister or another close relative, given that Adam and Eve were the first human beings. However, some occult orders, such as the Merovingians, believed that Cain had taken on Satan as his wife, who appeared as a black-haired woman named Lilith. They shared an equal amount of anger towards God, and Satan deceptively nurtured this and sought to accomplish through Cain what he failed to accomplish with Adam and Eve. For Satan had tempted Eve into eating the fruit, in his idea to steal the power of God by filtering out God's presence that was within the tree through which the world was made, by having Adam and Eve bear the price and consequences for eating its fruit, and then extracting God's presence entwined within Adam and Eve's soul. Satan sought to succeed in his plans with Cain and planned on building an army of children fused with the presence and power of God. But this failed as well, for as cunning as the adversary was, he did not comprehend the truth of God's holy presence, that it was not something that is forced to obey the laws of creation as a physical object. God's presence comes and goes where he chooses, and if he chooses something to be devoid of his presence, then it shall be that way. Those who have true faith can understand the simplistic principles of this concept, whereas those such as the serpent, who may know the truth of his existence, but without trust, without faith in God, then they shall be left confused by these things and unable to comprehend them. That is my proof to my claims that these things that I write are true, and from the account as one of the two witnesses. For how could I write such deep understandings of the biblical subjects and figures without any reference before me, writing only from what my heart is guided towards what was true and what is earned? Isn't of God's will unless I am truly a faithful believer in the Almighty. And with this, I do close this afterword with the words, Amen.